So, I don't know if it's just me, but when I have an anime that's been making me laugh every single week, and I see its ending song with clunky 3D visuals, to me, it makes it all the funnier. I don't know if it's just gonna be me, but that shit made me laugh. So we had a week break of Cautious Hero. Now, people had been humming and hawing. Was it due to the storm Japan had that a lot of people couldn't go into work, so production had to get pushed back for future episodes, so they just decided to delay the third episode, or was it because they were actually struggling? I don't know what the actual answer is. All I know is episode 3 turned out just fine and probably made me laugh the hardest out of the 3 episodes to date, so I'm not complaining. Seiya's a character who we've seen a lot of variety with this man being overly cautious, but even I wasn't expecting him to beat up and bully a swordmaster god just to train more. This was hilarious. It's just like the number of ways that they can evolve a character being overly cautious is astounding. 3 episodes and we've seen such a variety of him just being an asshole, but being the best kind of hero asshole, I have to say. It's just, I love the idea of him basically being so good at what he does with his workouts that eventually he can't level up anymore. So he thinks, well, give me equipment. But then it's like, well, that's not actually going to do all that well. So the new goddess we get introduced to says, hey, why don't you train with a god? And you think, okay, this isn't going to go well for him, but maybe if he goes up against someone completely ridiculously overpowered, maybe he'll get put in his place a little bit. Even if for a second, maybe his cautious persona will cause him to evolve into something. But to just see day after day the transition this man went through of being like, okay, this guy's a smartass, he's a hothead, but he's got potential. And to see the utter defeat in this man. And I thought it was funny just seeing the utter defeat because you assume he was just getting worn out. Like, that's funny to me. But to actually see the direction they took when you look at our goddess walk in on him on top, pummeling him, and the man's like crying, he's shaking, he wants out of this abusive relationship. That was the best scene. That was the funniest scene of the show today. And I just love how he's just so fed up. It's Seiya being like, yeah, I got all I could out of this guy, so I'm good. Let's go to the village. It's like, this show is so abusive in the best possible sense. I really enjoy how the comedy isn't afraid to really just like abuse characters, like pummel a god in the face, or just, if a civilian dies in this crossfire, who cares? It's just like, it's some of like the best comedies out there. They just have characters that do shitty things, and either they justify it as thinking they're not in the wrong, or they just simply don't care. And those are just the funniest shows to me. And this series literally makes me laugh out loud and sometimes have to pause the episode just to catch my breath because I think it's that hilarious. I really do appreciate that it isn't just the gimmick that he's overly cautious and he just keeps having to do sit-ups before battle. Because if that's all it was, it would only need to be an OVA because it would really grow stale quite quickly. But what Cautious Hero smartly did was that cautious persona can be applied to so many variations of training and just interacting with characters. The holy water scene? Like, that's amazing. The idea that it's not even like he's some super skilled, like he can predict where an enemy's hiding, but if you learn that undeads will be affected by holy water, he's just going to naturally pour holy water on the oldest character around because they're the closest to death, and he just gets lucky enough that, oh god, that actually worked. Or just applying the holy water to everyone around him, even our goddess being like, well, you could have turned into an undead at some point. The man is ridiculous, and I love how he just completely disregards other people's well-being. He's completely blunt and honest, and will just shut people down like saying, I don't need you, because they're not even close to his level. I think it's mentioned that they're like 100th of their strength is like what Seiya currently is. The man's so strong that he can literally like cut up an undead and you don't even see it. And if this was like a super serious show, like him being this strong already would be a turnoff. But this being a comedy and almost a parody of the isekai genre where he's just not wanting to be a part of this unless he feels fully prepared, and he's never going to be fully prepared. It's just hilarious to watch it play out. And I really love just the overreactions from our goddess and how she's honestly terrified. Like, she obviously thinks he's hot, but she thinks he's sick. And the number of characters who call him sick in this single episode, and probably will throughout this journey, is hilarious because he is sick. He just doesn't understand how extreme he is because in his mind he thinks everyone should have his level of caution. And his level of caution's good to a degree, but he needs to tone it down by 99% to maybe be more normal and fully prepared, but not like a complete and utter dumbass or just completely disregarding, hey, some people, they have feelings too, but he just doesn't care. Unless it's going to get his muscles a bit more strong than they currently are. This is definitely one of those shows that I really hope we get behind the scenes footage at some point for, because I love it when a comedy series, you get like the live action behind it and you just see the actors having a blast, because Seiya is this super serious, almost monotone, no emotion, and he strikes fear as if he's like the final boss of a video game. I would love to just see the actor behind this and just like the role and just the mentality to get into this, or just some of the overreactions. This series is absolutely ridiculous, and I love how it doesn't shy away from how ridiculous it is. There's a thing with comedy series, especially with an anime, where they have a really funny gimmick, but I don't think they recognize how gimmicky it is, and then in result, I think they try to be a little too serious for their own good. Where with Cautious Hero, it's built on the gimmick. It recognizes this is a funny and absolutely absurd thing. Yeah, they're trying to sometimes present serious subject matter and just, people actually being terrified, and then it's immediately shut down because of our central character just disregarding everyone if they're not trying to aid in his cautious persona. That's what's so great about this series, is that it completely understands how much of a parody it is, but also understands that it isn't just like a parody, it also is its own series, while completely being a little ridiculous and serious mixed into one beautiful package. I don't know, this is a show that I'm just really happy to see excel, because it easily could have been a one-trick pony, and within one episode it proved that it wasn't a one-trick pony, but with each passing week we're seeing the idea be continuously explored more and more, so we understand that this is a show that probably by the time we start feeling like it's the same thing we've already seen, there'll be enough ideas that they can bounce around between, so it'll have a pretty good formula book that it can kind of take ideas and jokes and apply it to new situations, so it won't just feel like we're seeing the cautious hero doing the same thing we've already seen. If they get to that point, they'll just pull from a different style of joke and just continue to find new ways to make this show funny. Like, I really feel like this is a safe bet to say that if we've been enjoying it up till now, we're going to be enjoying it till the end of its first core, and if they make more anime, obviously it probably will do pretty well, at least with a second season. But yeah, this show, I'm just really happy that this show is succeeding, because it is goddamn funny. And I don't really come out of a comedy anime being this happy that often. Like, there was Kaguya-sama for sure, but this one, I'm glad to see another series really make me laugh and just shed some tears at it. It's just absolute absurdity. This episode really sells me, I have to say, because the idea of breaking a trainer, or then even just the holy water and trying to shake up a merchant being like, hey, order me 1,000 if you don't have it, like, the dude just completely disregards just normal behavior for what he wants. Like, this man, he would be the worst supervillain. And in some ways, you might want to claim him a supervillain, because he'll blow up anything if he sees a dead body of a villain, and he'll just like, oh shit, you better get the civilians out of there, because he's probably not going to do it for you. The man would be the most horrifying villain in this series, and it's lucky and not lucky for our heroes and just, the well-being of the civilians that he is on their side, but at the same time, can you really even say he's on their side? And the voice actors, the more they get into it, like just the serious, almost deadpan of Seiya to then just the reactions, the crying and the trembling from the Swordmaster to just the shock of our goddess, is just the dumbfoundedness of pretty much every character who looks upon Seiya at a safe distance. This series is just hilarious. It's like one of those shows that within 5 minutes are you going to get a kick out of it, and if you did, it just continues to find new ways to evolve its comedy and keep us engaged week by week. And I'm pretty sure most people were probably laughing this week. I'm going to put a bet that most people who've been keeping up with this show, who have found it funny in the past, probably found that scene of the Swordmaster getting beaten just hilarious. I mean, he literally tried to blend in with just general food and then tossed his sword away. A Swordmaster gave up the sword because within a few days, the overly cautious hero broke him emotionally, and as we see, also broke him physically. This show is ridiculous, and I love how, even when they're not in the overly funny scenes, we're just setting up like, oh, there's this other goddess, and how it's like, oh, she's getting the flirty eyes with our characters. Like, where is that gonna go? Because right now, she's the most tame part of this episode, but we know, should Seiya interact with her long enough, there's gonna be some ridiculous banter, comedy, or just actions in the future. The show is just so entertaining. I could easily watch a good 12 episodes of this and continue to laugh, but if it continues on the direction this week's episode set out, and really finds a new way to apply its cautious formula to just interesting sequences we wouldn't be able to predict, this series could easily run 24 episodes, keeping me laughing out loud, and potentially even longer if it continues to find new ways to explore its world, its story, but also its comedy direction overall. I just thought this was a hilarious episode. I love the visuals to the show. I love how they just let these characters' bodies loose and just really react in the most anime design fashion. This shit continues to crack me up and I can't wait to see more. But what did everyone think? For source material readers or even anime originals like myself, let me know down in that comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you have been new. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.